Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're plunging headfirst into something pretty profound, almost paradoxical, I think, about modern life. Something we probably all feel bubbling beneath the surface. Just take a moment to think about it. We are, well, without a doubt, more connected than we've ever been in human history.
Absolutely.
Instant messages fly across continents in, milliseconds? Video calls just dissolve huge distances, and these digital platforms keep us constantly updated on pretty much everyone's lives, friends, strangers, you name it. It's just this never-ending stream of digital togetherness.
Yeah, it feels constant.
Yet, and this is the kicker, at the very same time, across the globe, study after study is reporting a significant, actually quite alarming, rise in feelings of loneliness.
It's a huge contradiction.
It really is, isn't it? The age of loneliness happening right alongside, sometimes really uncomfortably, the loneliness in the age of connection.
That's exactly it. And that's really the core paradox we want to dive into today. We have all these amazing digital tools right at our fingertips, promising seamless connection, convenience, constant engagement.
Everything, yeah.
But despite all this hyperconnectivity, so many people are experiencing this deep emotional isolation. And that's what we're calling digital loneliness. It's this contradiction sitting right at the heart of our modern, hyperconnected world.
That's it, exactly. So our mission today in this deep dive is to really unpack this profound contradiction. We want to explore how individuals can feel emotionally isolated even when they're, constantly linked through social platforms, messaging apps, even increasingly AI interactions.
Right.
It's about understanding the complex layers, the psychological, the technological, the societal dimensions of this pervasive feeling. We'll be looking hard at the real, often hidden cost of our digital togetherness.
And crucially,
yeah, exploring actionable strategies for building healthier, more fulfilling relationships both online and, in our actual offline lives.
And to give you the best possible understanding, we've pulled insights from a really rich set of sources. We've got academic papers like Alone Online, The Paradox of Digital Connection. That's from the International Journal of Peer-Reviewed Engineering and Management Sciences.
Okay.
And Loving in the Age of Loneliness from the International Research Journal of Modernization in Engineering, Technology, and Science. So a solid academic base.
Good. And beyond the academic stuff.
Yeah, we've also drawn insights from major organizations like the World Health Organization. They had a technical consultation on loneliness in cities, this big meeting in Manila, just this July 2024, bringing together experts from all over the Western Pacific region.
Right, so very current data.
Exactly. And Forbes' insights on remote work, which is obviously huge right now. Plus, we've got practical guidance from places like helpguide.org. And importantly, we're weaving in a really powerful personal story from someone named Rihanna, sharing her experience with loneliness. That first-person view is vital.
Absolutely. So the goal, really, is to pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge from all these different angles to help you get truly well-informed on what is, honestly, one of the most critical and deeply human issues we're facing today. Let's really get into it.
Let's do it.
Okay, so to really unpack this paradox, we have to start by clarifying what we actually mean by digital loneliness. Because it isn't just about being physically by yourself, is it? It's something more subtle. More insidious, maybe.
You're absolutely right. A key insight here, and this is fundamental, is that digital loneliness isn't defined by a lack of communication. We're communicating constantly, right? Texts, likes, shares, comments.
Yeah.
It never stops.
Right. Nonstop.
But it rises from a fundamental lack of connection. Think of it like this.
Okay.
You'd be standing in the middle of a packed stadium, thousands of people around you, yet feel profoundly, utterly alone.
Yeah.
That's the core distinction. It's about a qualitative void, not a quantitative one. It's the feeling of connection that's missing.
That immediately makes me think of Rihanna's story you mentioned. She talked about feeling lonely throughout her life, even when she was physically surrounded by people.
Right.
She really emphasized that loneliness is fundamentally different from just being isolated.
Yeah.
She described it as feeling like she was in a bubble around people, like something invisible was stopping her from truly connecting or being, her authentic self.
That's such a vivid description.
It is. And she made such an important point. Like, it's perfectly possible to choose solitude, to find peace in being alone, but loneliness, that's a distinct and often really painful emotional state of feeling unseen, unheard, fundamentally disconnected.
That's a crucial difference, and it leads us right into what sociologist Sherry Turkle talked about.
Yeah.
In her book, Alone Together, she calls it networked solitude.
Networked solitude, okay.
Turkle argues that we are often alone even when together. She observed that while digital tools simulate social presence, they give us the feeling of being connected.
They simply cannot substitute for the richness, the depth of genuine emotional intimacy. It's like a simulation of connection, a digital echo, maybe, but one that often feels hollow and leaves us wanting something more substantial.
The digital illusion, it's so incredibly easy to fall into, isn't it? Platforms like Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, X, they just constantly bombard us with updates, likes, shares. On the surface, it feels like interaction, like we're engaged.
It does.
But as those academic papers highlight, this endless stream often delivers a, what do they call it, a diluted version of human interaction. We're often trading these deep, meaningful, nuanced exchanges for just surface-level stuff, a quick tap of a like button instead of a real conversation.
Precisely. And this delusion gets powerfully amplified by the filtered version of life that just dominates social media. People carefully curate and present only their happiest moments, their most perfect-looking selves, their biggest successes.
A highlight reel. Exactly. This relentless highlight reel creates an almost impossible, unrealistic benchmark for everyone else. And that leads directly to what researchers call the compare and despair phenomenon.
Compare and despair. Yeah, I've felt that.
You scroll through everyone else's seemingly perfect lives, and you're left feeling inadequate or left out or just not good enough compared to these often manufactured, idealized realities. It's this constant, often subconscious form of self-judgment.
It's truly insidious. It's like you're staring at a screen with 1,000 followers, seeing their filtered joy. But as the source material points out, none of those digital thumbs-ups can truly replace that, profound piece of comfortable silence with one person who gets you.
Or just making eye contact.
Or the simple power of a genuine, present conversation where you make eye contact and feel actually seen. The real insight here isn't just that likes aren't real connection, it's that our brains are actively being sort of rewired to crave the superficial stuff, making the effort for genuine, quiet presence feel almost alien sometimes.
And if we zoom out a bit, these feelings of digital loneliness aren't just about our individual choices or social media habits. They're deeply tied into larger systemic societal shifts that have been reshaping our world for decades.
Like what?
Well, rapid urbanization, for instance, has played a massive role. Think about the huge global shift from these tight-knit rural communities where everyone knew each other, where support systems were just woven into daily life.
Yeah, the village structure.
Exactly. To these sprawling urban centers. It's profoundly disrupted those traditional community structures. In today's densely packed cities, individuals often feel anonymous, like they lack personal recognition. It leads to what's often called urban loneliness. You can be surrounded by millions, yet feel totally invisible.
That's such a powerful image, surrounded by millions, but invisible. It's a paradox right there. A stark contrast to the small town where everyone knew your grandmother's name.
And the forces don't stop there. We're also seeing a growing commodification of emotions and social interactions. What that means is, human connections are increasingly being given a monetary value, or they're mediated through commercial platforms.
Like dating apps, maybe?
Or influencer culture? Exactly.
Yeah.
Think dating apps, influencer marketing, where connection itself is almost a product. This subtly but profoundly devalues genuine social capital and altruistic behavior, things that are absolutely essential for building deep, resilient community bonds. When everything seems to have a price tag, the invaluable nature of real human connection can get overlooked.
And what about this horizontalization of communication? That sounds quite academic. What does it mean for us, practically?
It's about how our communication styles and social norms are fragmenting across different groups, age groups, professional fields, social circles.
Okay.
Think about it. A teenager, a baby boomer, someone in a super specialized tech job. They often speak almost different social languages, even if they're technically using English.
Right. The slang, the references.
Yeah, exactly. The insight here is that this growing linguistic and normative divide isn't just awkward, it actively creates barriers. It makes it incredibly difficult to form, say, cross-generational bonds or connect easily outside our immediate social bubbles. It's this sort of silent force contributing to our isolation, making it feel like learning a whole new culture just to bridge those gaps.
So it's not just physical distance, but this growing emotional, maybe even linguistic divide keeping us in our silos.
Precisely. And layer onto that significant demographic changes.
Yeah.
We're seeing smaller family sizes globally, an increasingly aging population, and this distinct shift shift in caregiving responsibilities away from extended families towards more individual, often professional settings.
Right.
These changes inherently narrow our immediate social networks. And finally, just our fast-paced, intensely individualistic modern life. People move more often for work or lifestyle. More people live alone. We focus heavily on careers.
Yeah.
All these factors significantly weaken those traditional community bonds that used to provide built-in support, leaving more people feeling adrift and disconnected.
Wow. Okay, so it's clear there are so many complex layers to this digital paradox. Now, let's dig into the digital feedback loop itself, how social media messes with our brains, specifically dopamine, and how it impacts our attention spans.
Right. A key insight here is how these platforms are meticulously designed to tap directly into our brain's reward system. Those constant notifications, the little red dot, the ping, the vibration.
Oh, yeah, the poll.
Along with likes, shares, comments, they all trigger a rush of dopamine release. And this isn't accidental. It's a very sophisticated, variable reward system.
Like a slot machine.
Exactly like a slot machine. You don't know when you'll hit the jackpot or when you'll get that next validating like or comment. That unpredictability is precisely what makes it so incredibly addictive. It keeps us coming back for more, almost compulsively checking.
That perfectly explains why it's so hard to just put the phone down. You're always chasing that next little hit, that little surge of validation.
Precisely. And over time, this constant, often intense stimulation can actually lead to dopamine dysregulation. Your brain becomes less sensitive to dopamine, which means it requires more and more external stimulation to achieve the same level of reward or satisfaction. This makes it increasingly harder to find genuine satisfaction in offline experiences. A quiet walk, a deep conversation, reading a book.
Things that don't give you that instant hit.
Right. This diminished dopamine sensitivity reduces your overall motivation, your emotional resilience. It makes real-world satisfaction harder to achieve and leaves you craving the superficial thrill of the digital world more.
And this is particularly pronounced in younger generations, isn't it? Like Gen Z, whose whole formative years have basically been dominated by screens. Their brains are literally developing with this constant digital stimulus.
Absolutely. Their developing brains are being conditioned from a very young age to expect instant gratification, constant novelty, rapid shifts in attention. This has significant long-term implications for their cognitive development and for their ability to engage with the world in a slower, more sustained way.
Speaking of instant gratification, let's talk about attention spans. Short-form content like TikTok, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, just endless scrolling. It conditions users to expect immediate rewards, quick shifts in focus. What are the cognitive repercussions of this beyond just feeling a bit scattered?
Oh, the cognitive repercussions are profoundly significant. They impact fundamental aspects of how our minds work. This constant diet of short, sharp bursts of information creates a genuine difficulty in focusing on sustained effort.
Right.
This directly hampers cognitive development in areas like deep reading, complex problem solving, even sustained creative work. And crucially for our topic today, it makes deep, meaningful, nuanced conversations much, much harder. Well, when your brain is wired for quick cuts, instant feedback, rapid transitions, sitting down for a long, intricate discussion can feel not just laborious, but genuinely boring, or even mentally exhausting. It literally erodes our capacity for sustained, reciprocal attention, the kind you need for real connection.
So it's not just what we do online, but how that digital interaction fundamentally conditions our minds, affecting our very ability to connect in the real world, face-to-face. This brings us to a really key finding from our sources. It's not just the hours spent online that matter most, but the type of engagement.
This raises a really important question. If we're all spending so much time online, why are some people feeling significantly more lonely than others? The European Commission's Joint Research Center did a big EU-wide survey, and their findings offer a crucial distinction.
Okay, what did they find?
They found that while intensive passive use of social media, things like just endlessly scrolling through feeds, consuming content without really participating, being a sort of digital voyeur.
Yeah, just lurking.
Exactly, lurking. That strongly correlates with greater loneliness. However, they found no significant association between loneliness and intensive use of instant messaging tools or active use of social media.
Okay. So it's the difference between passively observing everyone else's curated lives versus actually interacting, even if that interaction is digital, like messaging someone directly or commenting thoughtfully in a group.
Precise.
It suggests that engaging in direct communication, even via text or actively contributing, might still fulfill some fundamental human
need for connection, while simply scrolling through filtered realities doesn't. That's a powerful distinction.
Absolutely. The how you use these platforms and the intention behind that use seems far more critical than just how much time you spend glued to the screen.
Yeah.
It's about the quality of the engagement, not just the quantity.
This whole issue of loneliness is clearly so multifaceted, and its impact goes way beyond just an emotional feeling. It has tangible, far-reaching costs affecting our individual well-being, public health systems, even the global economy.
That's absolutely right. A key insight here is that loneliness has really moved beyond being seen as just a personal struggle. It's now recognized as a severe public health concern.
Seriously,
Right.
like on par with other major health issues.
Yes. The U.S. Surgeon General's 2023 report unequivocally highlighted it as a crisis. And the World Health Organization, the WHO, has also acknowledged it as a significant global public health issue. They're taking it extremely seriously on an international level.
And that WHO consultation in Manila you mentioned, they specifically highlighted the rising burden of mental health conditions in the Western Pacific region, affecting over 215 million people. And this was made much worse by the pandemic, obviously, with all the forced isolation. Numbers are just staggering.
The mental health implications are indeed severe and very well documented. Social isolation is directly linked to increased risks of depression, anxiety disorders, even suicidal ideation. And when you experience chronic stress from loneliness, it can actually dysregulate your hormonal systems, think cortisol, other stress hormones. This creates this vicious, self-perpetuating cycle of retreat and despair, making it even harder for people to reach out and seek the connection they need.
It's a truly debilitating cycle. It can feel impossible to break free from. We see this so acutely in personal stories, like Rayana's again. She shared how her feelings of loneliness got significantly worse when she was juggling university, working full-time, and being a full-time mom.
That's an immense load.
Immense. And most of her friends didn't have children, which made it incredibly hard for her to find anyone who really understood the pressure she was under, what she was going through. She felt unseen, unheard, even when surrounded by people, because her specific lived experience felt so isolated.
And surprisingly, the consequences stretch far beyond mental health, delving deep into our physical well-being too.
Really? How so?
Loneliness and chronic social isolation have been definitively linked to an increased risk of serious physical problems. Things like cardiovascular diseases, accelerated cognitive decline, a weakened immune function, making us more susceptible to illness and even premature mortality.
So loneliness can literally shorten your life.
The evidence strongly suggests that. The impact is truly holistic, affecting both mind and body in profound ways.
And it hits the workplace hard too, especially with this massive shift towards remote work. Forbes' insights revealed a truly alarming statistic. 25% of remote employees experience daily loneliness. A quarter.
That's a huge number. And it's 98% more often than their fully on-site colleagues, and a massive 179% more than people in hybrid roles. This isn't just a few people feeling down. It's a widespread, quantifiable problem for businesses.
Why do remote workers feel so isolated? What are the main reasons?
The reasons are varied, but they paint a clear picture. 34% report feeling isolated from their team. It's a huge barrier to collaboration and just feeling like you belong. 25% say they have fewer learning opportunities from colleagues, which can stifle growth.
The informal learning is gone.
Exactly. And a notable 22% struggle to unplug from their jobs, blurring those lines between work and personal life, which contributes to burnout. Furthermore, 11% report feeling more depressed, and 9% experience increased stress or burnout, directly impacting their well-being and ultimately their productivity.
And these individual struggles must scale up to a massive economic cost, right?
They absolutely do. The U.S. Surgeon General's report estimated that stress-related absenteeism alone, much of it linked to loneliness, costs U.S. employers around $154 billion annual.
$154 billion just from stress-related absences.
Just in the U.S. And the broader economic impact is even more staggering. Gallup estimated that low employee engagement cost the global economy a monumental $8.9 trillion. Trillion. With a T. That represents about 9% of global GDP. This isn't just lost output, it's lost innovation, lost potential, and this growing trend of quiet quitting, where disengaged workers just do the bare minimum.
Yeah, phoning it in.
Exactly. That cost U.S. companies an additional $1.9 trillion in lost productivity in 2023 alone. These aren't just abstract figures. They translate into a less productive, less innovative, and ultimately less prosperous global economy.
Okay, but here's where it gets really interesting and highlights the paradox again. Despite all these documented downsides, the isolation, the health risks, the economic drain, a huge number of workers still want remote work. Pew Research found 58% of white-collar workers want to work from home at least 3 days a week.
Right.
And over 40% are willing to take a pay cut, up to 10%, just to have that remote option. This feels completely counterintuitive. What's going on there?
This raises that important question again. Why this enduring paradox? For many, the perceived benefits of remote work still significantly outweigh the very real challenges of loneliness. Remote work often offers a dramatically better work-life balance, allowing people to integrate personal responsibilities more easily if they can successfully unplug.
Right, that's the key caveat.
It saves substantial time and money on commuting, which eases financial burdens and frees up precious hours. And for some, it genuinely impacts their mental health positively, often driven by a strong desire to escape what they perceive as toxic workplace cultures in traditional offices.
Ah, okay. So escaping negativity might trump the risk of isolation for some.
Exactly. So it's not a simple choice. It's a complex calculation of trade-offs where the freedom, the flexibility, the personal control often tip the scales, despite the loneliness risks.
It really highlights the complexities we're dealing with. So given this increasingly, toxic, hyper-connected, yet paradoxically isolating world, how do we navigate it? Our sources suggest two powerful, almost counterintuitive strategies: healthy emotional detachment and selective attachment. Let's start with detachment. Sounds a bit cold.
It can sound that way, but detachment, when practiced constructively, isn't about being cold or uncaring at all. Instead, it's a critical psychological survival mechanism. It's about intentionally, emotionally disengaging from toxic interactions, from draining situations, from circumstances that are truly beyond your control, without completely severing your ability to connect with others.
Okay, so it's like building a protective shield.
Exactly. It's about erecting a protective mental barrier that helps you maintain your inner equilibrium, your resilience against chronic stress, negativity, and emotional drain.
So it's about protecting your own peace. What are the specific psychological benefits of cultivating this kind of healthy detachment?
Oh, the benefits are substantial and quite far-reaching. It leads to enhanced emotional regulation. You have greater control over your reactions. You're not constantly swept away by external events. It fosters improved mental clarity, allowing you to think more clearly, make better decisions by reducing the noise of external pressures.
That sounds good.
It also enables a greater ability to focus on your personal goals and values, preventing you from being constantly distracted or derailed by other people's dramas. It acts as a powerful buffer against burnout, allowing you to recover and recharge without being consumed. And crucially, it helps you reclaim your autonomy and agency in situations where you might otherwise feel powerless by letting you focus your energy on what you can actually influence.
And what's truly fascinating is that we even have data showing how much this detachment can actually increase happiness. The sources had some intriguing stats on this.
Indeed. A compelling study by Polygens Research found that individuals who intentionally practiced detachment from social media for at least 2 weeks reported a significant 22% increase in their self-reported happiness levels.
22%, just from a social media break.
Yes, they specifically noted reduced feelings of inadequacy and a marked improvement in their mood and their ability to focus on their real lives.
That's a really significant gain for something relatively simple.
It is. Furthermore, a systematic review looking at loneliness in the workplace highlighted that employees who actively detached from work-related stress during non-work hours, like consciously turning off notifications, not checking emails after 5 p.m.
Getting those boundaries.
Exactly. They experienced a remarkable 35% improvement in overall happiness and job satisfaction. This powerfully underscores the importance of those rigid work-life boundaries for well-being.
And for detaching from toxic relationships, the gains were even higher, which is encouraging for anyone stuck in those dynamics.
Absolutely. Research showed participants who successfully distanced themselves from harmful interpersonal dynamics reported an impressive 40% increase in happiness levels within just 3 months. They felt this profound sense of regaining control over their emotional lives and experienced significantly less anxiety.
Wow. And finally, detaching from those often unrealistic societal standards that bombard us constantly.
A study focusing on parasocial relationships revealed a substantial 28% boost in happiness and self-acceptance for individuals who emotionally detached from overwhelming societal pressures and those unattainable idealized comparisons, think unrealistic beauty standards or career benchmarks,
Right.
while simultaneously forming healthy, inspiring connections with fictional characters. It powerfully demonstrates the liberation that comes from consciously shifting your focus away from what's toxic and unattainable.
This leads us beautifully into this idea of the fictional ideal and parasocial relationships. It sounds like a very modern coping mechanism, but what exactly are parasocial relationships and why are they apparently so potent?
Parasocial relationships are essentially these one-sided emotional connections that people form with media figures. This could be celebrities, public personalities, or, quite profoundly, fictional characters from books, movies, TV shows, video games.
Okay, one-sided. So the character doesn't know you exist.
Exactly. The individual invests emotional energy, time, thought, but the media figure is completely unaware. Yet they can provide a unique form of emotional support and inspiration, especially when real-life supportive relationships are maybe absent, difficult to form, or just not fulfilling certain needs.
What's truly fascinating here is why they seem to work so well. Our sources explain several profound psychological advantages that make them appealing and effective. For one, there's an inherent absence of direct comparison.
Oh, yes.
Unlike real-life interactions or the curated world of social media, fictional characters exist without judgment, without competition, without that pressure for you to live up to their expectations. You're not comparing your messy life to their often idealized one because they don't judge you back.
This creates an incredibly safe emotional space, doesn't it? A kind of sanctuary. Fictional characters, in their crafted stories, often offer a sense of unconditional love or unwavering support. They provide a sense of belonging and validation, which is particularly vital for anyone grappling with loneliness or self-doubt. And they do it without demanding anything back.
Yeah.
You don't have to perform for them, you just receive.
And they can be such a powerful source of aspirational motivation too, can't they? They often embody these idealized traits,
Yes.
incredible courage, unwavering resilience, profound kindness, sharp wit.
Right.
They can inspire personal growth and ethical reflection without all the complexities, the demands, the disappointments that can sometimes come with real human relationships. You can learn from their journey, draw strength from their character arcs, without the messy reality.
Exactly. And they also provide this profound sense of consistency and continuity in what can often feel like an unstable, unpredictable, or even chaotic world. Drawing strength from familiar narratives, familiar characters can be a steady psychological anchor, a reliable source of comfort and inspiration that doesn't change or betray you. In a world full of flux, they remain steadfast.
So let's get specific. Who are some of these fictional ideals our sources mentioned? How do they provide this unique set of benefits? Because this really brings the concept to life.
We have some fascinating and quite specific examples that powerfully illustrate these universal principles.
Yeah.
Take Rem from the anime ReZero.
Okay, Rem.
She embodies devotion, selflessness, unwavering kindness, immense inner strength. Her absolute loyalty and profound emotional resilience inspire a deep sense of connection and admiration in many viewers. On good days, she serves as this powerful model for selflessness, for unconditional love. But critically, on bad days, her fictional nature means she offers comfort, a sense of unwavering support, without the pressure of toxic comparison. Fans can draw strength, feel seen, without ever feeling inadequate. As the source powerfully puts it, to love her is to find happiness, because she represents this pure, unchanging ideal.
That's a really powerful connection, a source of stable, positive inspiration. What about Denji from Chainsaw Man? He seems like a very different kind of character.
Very different. Denji, the protagonist of Chainsaw Man, is valued not for perfection, but for his profound relatability and his gritty resilience. His incredibly simple, almost primal desires, escaping poverty, finding basic happiness, and his unyielding determination resonate deeply.
Right, he's very grounded in some ways.
Exactly. On good days, he motivates fans to appreciate the small victories, to push forward despite overwhelming odds. But on bad days, his imperfections, his struggles, his raw humanity actually normalize the act of faltering. He provides comfort precisely because he isn't an idealized figure. He falls, he gets back up, he keeps building new bonds.
So his flaws make him relatable.
Yes. The source highlights that to love him is to find happiness, because despite all the pain, everything falling apart around him, he relentlessly strives forward and continually forms new, genuine bonds. That offers a powerful sense of comfort and perseverance.
And then there's Gyutaro from Demon Slayer. He's an antagonist, right? How does he fit into this fictional ideal framework? That seems more complex.
Yes, Gyutaro is a tragic antagonist, but his deeply moving backstory offers profound insights into, well, redemption and tragedy, and compassion born from pain. His fierce protective nature and unwavering devotion to his younger sister, Daki, inspire people to value loyalty and familial bonds above all else.
Ah, okay.
On good days, his story underscores the power of that sibling love. But on bad days, reflecting on his descent, which was fueled by deep envy and feelings of inferiority, helps individuals recognize the futility of toxic comparison in their own lives and redirects them towards self-compassion. The source again states, "To love him is to find happiness," recognizing the transformative power of his pain, turning into this almost unconditional love for his sister, even in the darkest circumstances. These specific examples, while from particular shows, really illustrate a universal human tendency to seek connection and inspiration, even from non-traditional sources, to meet these deep psychological needs.
It's truly incredible how these fictional narratives, whether from books or movies or anime, can serve as such a lifeline, providing concrete emotional and psychological benefits. And we have real-life case studies from our sources that show how this balance of healthy detachment and selective attachment, including to these fictional ideals, actually plays out for everyday people.
Indeed. For individuals experiencing severe burnout, setting clear, firm boundaries with work, like not checking emails after hours, consciously disengaging from work thoughts, helps significantly reduce their stress. But what's more, their attachment to specific fictional ideals help them reframe their experiences, giving them a new perspective, even helping them rediscover a sense of purpose beyond their overwhelming job. One case study participant reported that a particular fictional character's ideals inspired new daily habits that reduced their stress and dramatically increased their sense of agency in their own life.
And in really challenging cases like bullying, how did these strategies help there?
For a bullied teenager, the act of emotionally detaching from the toxic school environment and attaching to a fictional superhero provided immense emotional stability and empowerment. This parasocial relationship acted as this safe space where they could rebuild confidence, find internal strength, and eventually, over time, develop the resilience needed to confront their bullies and navigate their difficult social situation.
The profound impact on individuals suffering from everyday loneliness is also highlighted.
An older woman who was coping with profound isolation after losing her spouse found companionship and significantly reduced her loneliness by developing this deep, ongoing connection with characters in a long-running TV series. The consistent presence of these fictional individuals provided her with a crucial sense of companionship and engagement, filling a void that real-life interactions couldn't always provide immediately.
And even in the most extreme, unimaginable circumstances, like war-torn environments.
Survivors of conflict zones profoundly use detachment as a core coping strategy to manage the immediate, overwhelming emotional responses to trauma and violence. Simultaneously, their attachment to religious or fictional ideals provided a vital sense of hope, moral guidance, and a framework for understanding and enduring their suffering. One survivor explicitly attributed their ability to endure immense hardship and maintain optimism to the principles embodied by a character in a beloved novel from their youth. It highlights the deep psychological wellspring these ideals can provide. These powerful examples clearly underscore the transformative potential of balancing emotional disengagement from what harms us with meaningful forms of connection, even with idealized figures.
Okay, so we talked a lot about the problem, the costs, the underlying mechanisms. Now, let's shift focus entirely to practical, actionable strategies for reconnecting, both in our personal lives and maybe on a broader societal level. First, some really excellent, straightforward self-help guidance from helpguide.org. Looks like a valuable resource.
Helpguide.org offers a really comprehensive toolkit of simple yet profoundly powerful ways to cope with loneliness and foster connection. For creative ways to keep in touch, they suggest using video chat not just for family calls, but for fun group hangouts with friends, virtual coworker lunches to keep team bonds strong, even online tutorials where you learn something new together.
Right, being interactive.
Regular phone calls, even if you have to schedule them, can be incredibly effective for more sustained, deeper connection. And one of the most powerful and perhaps surprising insights is the impact of old-school methods. Handwriting letters or postcards.
I love that.
Forget instant messages for a second. The act of handwriting a letter isn't just communication. It's a deeply mindful practice. It's a tangible expression of care that the recipient can physically hold on to.
Yeah, if you feel special.
This simple act offers this unique blend of stress relief for the sender and a profound sense of being truly seen and cherished for the receiver, and intimacy digital channels often struggle to replicate.
I absolutely love that idea. So personal and unexpected now. They also suggest actively engaging with communities, both online and offline.
Yes, this is crucial. Actively seeking out and joining groups with similar interests, platforms like meetup.com, are great for this, attending local peer support meetings, or participating in local events like concerts, open mic nights, community festivals. These can open up new avenues for connection.
Things you actually enjoy.
Exactly. Even joining a book club, reconnecting with old friends on social media with genuine intent to connect, not just scroll, or playing multiplayer games online, can foster new connections in a relatively low-pressure way. The key is intentional engagement.
Another really impactful tip, and one that often feels counterintuitive when you're feeling lonely, is to help others. Apparently, this adds deep meaning and purpose, benefiting both you and those you help.
Absolutely. Volunteering for a cause you genuinely care about, whether it's walking shelter animals, campaigning for something you believe in, helping at a food bank, or even remote volunteering like online tutoring, helps foster new connections with other like-minded volunteers and provides a sense of shared purpose.
Right, you connect over the shared activity.
Exactly. Even smaller acts, like running errands for a neighbor in need or becoming a mentor to a younger person, can build invaluable social capital and deeply meaningful bonds. It shifts your focus from your own feelings of isolation towards contributing positively to someone else's life.
And sometimes, just changing your physical environment, getting outside, can make a world of difference.
Exactly. Taking a walk around your neighborhood, consciously exploring new routes, or simply spending time in public places like parks, coffee shops, even a bustling mall, can increase your chances of those incidental encounters, meeting new people organically.
Yeah, just being out in the world.
And adopting outdoor hobbies like cycling, hiking, or even gardening in a community plot can also be a direct pathway to new social connections with shared interests, without the pressure of forced interaction.
Travel is often a go-to for battling isolation. But if that's not really feasible financially or logistically, Help Guide suggests a creative alternative: virtual travel.
It's a wonderful idea to tap into that sense of adventure even from home. You can recreate a dream trip by reading detailed guidebooks, taking immersive online video tours of famous landmarks, or cooking regional meals to experience a culture through its food. You can find online concerts or performances from around the world, relive past trips by scrapbooking old photos or making digital albums, or just immerse yourself in planning future escapes. That gives you something concrete and positive to look forward to. The act of anticipation itself can be a powerful antidote to feeling stuck.
One of the most powerful tips from Help Guide is internal. It's about how you talk to yourself. This can be surprisingly difficult when you're feeling low, challenging those negative, self-defeating thoughts.
This point is rooted right in cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, principles. Instead of dwelling on those self-critical or hopeless thoughts like, "I'll never make new friends," or "nobody really cares,"
Yeah, the spirals.
the advice is to consciously pause and ask yourself realistic, probing questions. Do I know that for sure? What evidence do I actually have for that thought? Or, a good one, what would I say to a friend who said the exact same thing?
Good framing.
Then, actively reframe it to something more helpful and constructive, like, it might take time, but I can make new friends, or I have value and I'm open to connection. This internal dialogue shift can significantly impact your mood and self-perception.
Distracting yourself with engaging hobbies or activities is also a key strategy listed.
Absolutely. Engaging in creative pursuits, writing, painting, learning an instrument, trying new recipes can shift your focus away from those negative thought patterns. Tackling home improvement projects, taking a new class, online or in person, even creating a detailed family tree can provide a sense of purpose and engagement.
Get your mind working on something else.
Exactly. And profoundly, finding comfort in animals, whether it's adopting a pet, pet sitting, or just spending time with a friend's dog or cat, can provide immense companionship, unconditional affection, and a sense of responsibility that can be very grounding.
And finally, Help Guide emphasizes a holistic approach to your overall mental health, recognizing that loneliness is often tangled up with other aspects of well-being.
This is vital. Learning to relax through mindfulness meditation, guided imagery, or simple deep breathing techniques can significantly relieve stress and calm an anxious mind. Getting active gym, run in the park, join a sports team helps manage stress hormones and boosts mood naturally.
Yeah, the physical connection.
Drawing comfort from simple pleasures. A warm bath, a good book, a favorite show offers moments of respite. Watching what you eat and drink, avoiding self-medicating with unhealthy foods or too much alcohol is crucial for stable mood. And finally, practicing acceptance, recognizing that loneliness is a normal human emotion and that some factors are beyond your immediate control allows you to release self-blame and approach the feeling with more compassion for yourself.
Beyond individual actions, what about building connection in the workplace?
Hmm.
Especially with so many people working remotely and feeling that digital loneliness we talked about, Forbes provides some excellent, actionable strategies for employers here.
Right. Organizations need to deeply recognize and actively acknowledge their employees' contributions and just their presence. Valued employees are significantly more likely to stay, be engaged, deliver high-quality work. It sounds basic, but it's fundamental.
Yeah, feeling seen at work.
Developing a strong, genuinely inclusive workplace culture that fosters belonging is absolutely crucial. This directly mitigates isolation and significantly benefits overall employee engagement and retention. It's about creating an environment where everyone feels they truly matter.
Communication is always key, but maybe even more so with distributed teams where those spontaneous water cooler chats are gone.
Yes, regular, consistent, and multi-channel communication is essential. Employers need robust check-in systems, not just about tasks, but about well-being. They need to use various channels strategically. Email for broad stuff, video calls for face-to-face, messaging like Slack or Teams for quick collaboration, and even pick up the phone for more personal discussions.
Right, mix it up.
Companies also need to proactively support social relationships, intentionally involve remote workers in social or team-building activities, make them feel part of the informal social fabric. This could mean virtual coffee breaks, online game nights, or even creating dedicated social channels just for non-work chat, fostering genuine camaraderie.
And professional development that's big for engagement, but it also ties into feeling connected to the organization's future, right?
Absolutely. Providing equitable access to training, workshops, resources, mentorship opportunities helps remote workers feel connected to their growth and the company's investment in them. Equally important is actively involving them in team conversations and critical decision-making. Using transparent project management tools, regular check-ins, actively soliciting their input ensures they feel integral to the team's purpose, not just some isolated cog in a machine.
And prioritizing employee well-being has to be paramount, moving beyond just paying lip service to it.
Absolutely. Regular check-ins should intentionally include conversations about stress levels, mental health, creating a safe space for employees to share if they choose. Employers should also be keenly watching for signs of disengagement, which can be subtle remotely. Cameras always off, missing meetings, slow responses, frequent sick calls, declining work quality, missed deadlines.
The warning signs.
These are critical indicators that someone might be struggling with isolation or burnout, and catching it early, offering support, is key.
It's clear that tackling loneliness requires this deeply multi-pronged approach from our personal habits right to the core of workplace culture. But what about at the government and public health level? The WHO's work gives us some incredible insights into how nations are actually trying to tackle this huge issue.
Indeed. What's truly fascinating is the integrated, holistic approach some regions are taking. China, for example, is actively combining traditional cultural values that emphasize community and family with modern mental health practices.
Interesting blend.
They've developed initiatives like their DLNNS system that stands for Digital Loneliness Evaluation and Nurturing, and this extensive national pilot project for social psychological service systems. The goal is to seamlessly integrate psychological health support across a vast network of schools, hospitals, community centers, making support widespread and accessible.
And they're even looking at using cutting-edge tech for some of the most severe cases of social withdrawal, like hikikomori in Japan. That's profound isolation.
Yes, Dr. Takehiro Kato from Kyushu University spoke about leveraging advanced ICT tools, including the metaverse, to help facilitate social re-engagement for individuals experiencing hikikomori, that extreme social withdrawal.
Using the metaverse for social good.
Exactly. It highlights this incredibly innovative, forward-thinking use of technology to potentially bridge isolation rather than causing it by creating structured, safe virtual spaces for reintegration.
We also see targeted national policies emerging, showing a real top-down commitment.
Japan, for instance, has actually enacted government laws and established a dedicated office for loneliness and isolation countermeasures. They focus not just on prevention, but also on developing community-based integrated care models specifically for older adults.
Wow, a dedicated office.
And similarly, South Korea's Seoul Metropolitan Government initiated its fourth comprehensive plan for the prevention of solitary deaths, aiming to reduce these tragic deaths by 20% by 2027. They use sophisticated tech solutions like the Seoul Salpini app for non-face-to-face care and deploy various digital tools for targeted interventions for at-risk groups.
Urban planning also has a huge, often overlooked role in either fostering or hindering social connection, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Healthy Cities initiatives, championed by urban planners and public health experts, focus intensely on social inclusion. This means intentionally integrating green and blue spaces, parks, river walks, accessible public gardens, and actively developing community gardens or shared public spaces that naturally encourage social interaction.
Designing connection into the city.
Professor Keiko Nakamura from Tokyo Medical and Dental University highlighted this, noting how these principles directly align with efforts to address loneliness by creating physical environments that inherently support engagement and a sense of shared community.
And supporting temporary residents in foreign cities, that's a unique challenge often overlooked, adding another layer to loneliness.
Indeed. Dr. Chan Sung Chung presented a poignant case study of a famous musical performer in Korea who experienced severe loneliness due to the compounded effects of cultural differences, significant language barriers, and profound separation from family.
Yeah, that would be tough.
This case really underscored the critical need for host communities to actively promote inclusive environments and develop mental health strategies specifically tailored for temporary residents who face these unique layers of isolation.
Malaysia has its own national policies addressing social connection, too.
Their National Social and Community Policy from 2018 and the National Smart City Framework running through 2025 both aim to systematically enhance social connections and improve public spaces. Crucially, they also aim to leverage technology strategically for community engagement, ensuring digital tools serve as bridges, not barriers.
And in the Philippines, the situation seems particularly acute, a high percentage reporting loneliness.
That's right. A staggering 57% of Filipinos report feeling lonely, significantly higher than the global average. In response, they're proposing a comprehensive biopsychosocial spiritual or BPSS framework and specific targeted interventions for their most vulnerable populations, including migrant workers, older people, and youth. The goal is to fundamentally enhance social connections and build deep community resilience from the ground up.
Singapore also faces challenges across both older and younger generations.
Mrs. Porchpo noted that loneliness affects both older and younger Singaporeans, highlighting the intergenerational nature of the problem. She emphasized the critical need for digital literacy among older people to prevent their exclusion from increasingly digital societies, while also actively encouraging face-to-face interactions for everyone and working to reduce the pervasive stigma around admitting you feel lonely. The aim is a more open, connected society where people feel safe asking for help.
And finally, the WHO itself has an internal initiative to address loneliness among its own staff. That shows this isn't just an external problem they study.
Yes, the Healing Hearts Initiative within the WHO Regional Office for the Western Pacific was a direct response to a management crisis made worse by the pandemic. They recognized their own staff were experiencing profound isolation.
Walking the walk.
Exactly. It focused intensely on building trust, promoting empathy, and developing robust well-being policies through staff-led groups for activities like sports, music, art, gardening. It demonstrates that addressing loneliness within institutions is a prerequisite for effectively tackling it in the broader community. It really highlights the systemic, pervasive nature of this challenge at all levels.
This deep dive is truly revealing just how multi-layered and pervasive this issue of loneliness is. So, what does this all mean for us personally? How do we build our own framework for navigating this paradox, balancing that healthy detachment from toxicity with selective attachment to what truly nurtures us?
This raises that really important question. How do we translate these profound insights into practical, personal strategies that you can actually apply in your daily life? Healthy detachment in practice means intentionally using those fictional characters and ideals as powerful sources of inspiration and motivation, but doing so without losing touch with reality.
Right, that's the key.
The absolute key here is to always recognize their fictional nature. They are a catalyst for personal growth, not a replacement for the complexity and richness of real-life relationships.
So it's not about escaping into a fantasy world, but drawing strength from it to navigate this world, our actual reality. How do we do that consciously?
It involves actively drawing actionable lessons from these characters. For example, using Denji's gritty perseverance or Rem's unwavering loyalty as direct models for how you approach real-world challenges in your own life. Practically, this means setting clear boundaries on your engagement with fictional media. Make sure it complements, rather than overshadows, real-life activities and relationships.
Finding a balance.
You need to engage actively with the qualities you admire, reflect deeply on how they apply to your life, and then, crucially, combine that powerful inspiration with concrete, real-life action and personal development.
And then there's the other side of the coin, selective attachment, prioritizing quality over quantity in our relationships.
Absolutely. And this begins with cultivating a strong, compassionate connection with yourself. Prioritizing self-awareness, truly understanding your needs, your triggers, alongside self-compassion, recognizing your strengths and vulnerabilities, fostering an unwavering sense of intrinsic worth. These are foundational.
Now, how do you cultivate that?
Practices like mindfulness meditation, regular journaling, dedicating time to hobbies that bring you joy, and consciously setting healthy personal boundaries are crucial here for building that inner resilience and self-reliance.
Once you have that strong self-connection, that foundation, then you can focus on forming those deeper connections with trusted individuals.
Precisely. This involves cultivating deep, meaningful bonds with a small, carefully chosen circle of people. Relationships based on mutual respect, unwavering trust, and genuine reciprocal support.
Your inner circle.
Exactly. These are the relationships that provide true emotional safety and stability. They directly counter the fragmenting, isolating effects of toxic environments or superficial digital interactions. For instance, studies show colleagues who report having even just a few close workplace friends experience a significant 25% reduction in stress levels. It shows the tangible benefits of these deep bonds.
Right.
This balance ensures emotional independence. You're not overly reliant on others, while still profoundly benefiting from that essential human need for belonging.
So if we put it all together into a tangible personal framework, what are the actionable steps you can take starting today?
It fundamentally starts with self-awareness, truly understanding your emotional triggers and personal boundaries, recognizing what drains you and what energizes you, then actively integrating mindfulness and emotional regulation practices into your daily routine: meditation, deep breathing, journaling, to better manage your emotional responses and cultivate inner calm.
And then it's about prioritizing where you put your precious energy, right?
Exactly. You must consciously prioritize energy allocation. Focus your time and emotional energy on relationships and activities that genuinely provide fulfillment, meaning authentic connection, not just those that drain you or offer superficial validation. You should also actively develop emotional independence to minimize over-reliance on external validation, whether from social media or other people. Find your self-worth internally.
Which leads to boundaries.
Directly to setting boundaries. Clearly defining and consistently enforcing limits on interactions with toxic individuals or engaging with draining digital environments. And crucially, it's about continuously reflect and adapt. Regularly evaluate your strategies, reflect on what's truly working for you and what isn't, and make adjustments as needed to maintain that delicate balance and protect your overall well-being. It's an ongoing process.
As we wrap up this deep dive, it's important we also acknowledge the inherent limitations of these strategies, as outlined in our sources, and maybe look at where future research might take us as this challenge evolves.
It's absolutely crucial to understand that while these strategies for detachment and selective attachment are powerful tools, the sources themselves highlight inherent risks and limitations. For instance, over-detachment can indeed lead to escapism, emotional numbness, or reduced engagement with the real world, potentially hindering personal development.
Yeah, checking out too much.
There's a fine line between using fictional ideals for inspiration and succumbing to pure escapism, where over-identification might actually prevent you from addressing underlying real-world issues that need your direct attention.
And it could inadvertently impact your real-life relationships too, couldn't it? If you focus too much on self-reliance or find all your needs met seemingly in fictional connections, you might unintentionally neglect existing relationships, even those with real potential for growth and support.
Precisely. It's also vital to acknowledge that for vulnerable populations, individuals grappling with severe trauma, acute mental health crises, or systemic oppression, these self-help strategies alone might not fully address their complex needs. In these cases, professional support like therapy or community services is often necessary and shouldn't be overlooked.
Right, it's not a cure-all.
And furthermore, these approaches can differ significantly across cultural and contextual variabilities. What works effectively in a highly individualistic society might not fit as well in a collectivist one, where community bonds are prioritized differently.
And there are practical limitations too. Not everyone has the resources, the time, or even the emotional capacity to fully implement these strategies, especially if they're living in extreme circumstances or enduring significant hardship.
These considerations are vital for a responsible and effective application of this framework. However, these very areas also point towards incredibly fertile ground for future research, pushing our understanding forward. We need to investigate the long-term effects of fictional characters as sources of inspiration. Does their influence fade over time? How do they impact identity formation across a lifespan? Are there significant cultural differences in how people engage?
And exploring additional innovative strategies for building meaningful real relationships is key for tackling the age of loneliness.
Definitely. This includes understanding precisely how digital communities can facilitate genuine, deep connections, not just superficial ones. Exploring the specific role of shared activities, hobbies, sports, volunteering, and relationship building. How best to foster intergenerational connections to bridge gaps and address loneliness for both young and old.
Yeah, lots to explore.
There's also immense potential for therapeutic applications of detachment and attachment, maybe using narrative therapy or role-playing to help people navigate complex social dynamics.
And of course, integrating the latest insights from technology and neuroscience seems crucial.
Yes, advances in brain imaging could show us exactly how fictional characters activate neural pathways related to comfort, resilience, reward. Understanding dopamine regulation better could help us optimize strategies for both healthy emotional engagement and intentional detachment. The ultimate goal across all these research paths is to bridge the gap between theory and practice, making these powerful strategies truly effective, accessible, and adaptable for everyone navigating the complexities of our connected yet isolating world.
We have covered a tremendous amount today on the digital paradox alone in a connected world. We've really unpacked that profound contradiction, how instant communication and all these digital platforms exist right alongside rising feelings of isolation, revealing that true connection isn't about the quantity of communication, but the genuine quality of the connection itself.
We've explored the intricate psychological impacts diluted digital interactions, the big societal shifts amplifying loneliness, and that insidious digital feedback loop involving dopamine and our shrinking attention spans. And we discussed, in no uncertain terms, the far-reaching, tangible cost of loneliness on our mental, physical, and even economic well-being. It's pervasive.
But importantly, we've also armed ourselves, and hopefully you, with powerful strategies for navigating this complex landscape. We learned about the vital power of healthy detachment, using it as a survival mechanism to disengage from toxicity and protect our inner peace. We even explored how to leverage the fictional ideal of parasocial relationships for inspiration and comfort, without losing touch with reality.
And we delved into selective attachment, prioritizing genuine quality over sheer quantity in our real-life relationships, and building that strong, compassionate connection with ourselves as a foundation.
We covered a wealth of practical steps, too, from self-help guidance, specific workplace strategies for employers, and even those large-scale government and public health initiatives from around the globe. It shows definitively that addressing loneliness needs a holistic, integrated approach: individual action, community effort, and systemic policy change.
At its heart, true human connection requires authenticity, presence, vulnerability, sustained effort, qualities that algorithms, no matter how powerful they get, simply cannot fully replicate.
So as you navigate this increasingly connected yet often isolating world, what conscious reevaluation of your digital habits and what intentional steps toward cultivating genuine, deep connection will you take to ensure that your digital togetherness truly serves your well-being rather than undermining it? Consider that perhaps the greatest strength in navigating this paradox might lie in knowing precisely when to lean in with open vulnerability and when, for your own peace and growth, it's truly time to step back.